The night sky erupted with a violent burst of electric blue, splitting the darkness above the Cascade Mountains. June Park had seen many strange things during his years as a wilderness ranger, but nothing could have prepared him for what was about to unfold. A massive alien spacecraft tumbled through the atmosphere, its metallic hull screaming with the sound of tearing metal and burning atmosphere. Trees exploded into splinters as the ship carved a devastating path through the dense forest, leaving a trail of destruction that stretched for miles. The ground shook with such intensity that wildlife scattered in panic, birds taking flight, and animals racing away from the catastrophic impact. June was on a routine night patrol when the crash happened. His old Jeep skidded to a halt at the edge of the massive impact zone. Steam rose from the twisted wreckage, mixing with the cold mountain air and creating an otherworldly mist. He could see nothing but darkness and destruction, the forest around, him reduced to a broken landscape of shattered trees and smoking debris. Something moved within the wreckage, not the random movement of falling metal, but a deliberate, struggling motion. June's training kicked in. He grabbed his emergency medical kit and radio, approaching the crash site with careful, measured steps. The alien was unlike anything he had ever imagined, a humanoid figure but clearly not human. Her body was covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors with each labored breath. Deep purple wounds marked her body, bleeding with a strange silvery liquid that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. Her breathing was ragged, each breath a struggle against what were clearly massive internal injuries. High above, hidden by the cloud cover, King Doran watched through the damaged sensors of his remaining spacecraft. Communication systems were critically damaged. Propulsion was offline. The most powerful warrior monarch of the Celestial Confederation could only observe as his beloved queen lay wounded on this primitive planet, surrounded by beings he considered little more than advanced animals. June approached slowly. Years of wilderness rescue had taught him to remain calm in critical situations. He could see the alien was dying. Her eyes, large, almond-shaped, with pupils that reflected multiple colors, locked onto him with an intensity that suggested intelligence, far beyond what he had expected. "I'm here to help," June spoke softly, knowing she likely couldn't understand him. But communication was more than just words. He opened his medical kit, pulling out bandages and antiseptic, moving with the gentle care he'd use with any injured creature. The alien, Asha, watched him. Something in his movement suggested safety. Her body was shutting down, each moment bringing her closer to death. Yet this strange bipedal creature moved with a purpose she recognized: survival and the protection of life. June worked quickly. The wounds were complex, unlike any human injuries he'd treated. But basic medical principles remained the same. Stop the bleeding, prevent infection, stabilize the patient. He used what he had, creating makeshift bandages and applying pressure to the most critical wounds. In orbit, King Doran's rage built. Sensors showed his queen was alive, but barely, and she was being touched by a primitive species member, something that would normally be grounds for total planetary destruction. Yet he could do nothing. His ship was crippled, his technology failing. As dawn began to break, June had managed to stabilize the alien. Local military research teams were already on their way, alerted by the crash and his emergency transmission. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew he had saved a life. Miles above the Earth, King Doran watched and waited, his entire understanding of the universe about to be fundamentally challenged by a single human's unexpected act of compassion. The first rays of sunlight cut through the mountain mist, illuminating the crash site, a moment frozen between two completely different worlds, connected by the most unexpected of circumstances. The sterile white walls of the remote wilderness research facility hummed with an unusual tension. June Park stood beside the medical examination table, watching the alien queen's breath move in slow, careful patterns. Her body was unlike anything medical staff had ever seen, a complex network of shifting scales and unusual biological mechanisms that seemed to defy human understanding. Military doctors had been baffled. Her physiology was so different that conventional medical treatments were useless, but June knew something they didn't. Survival wasn't about perfect knowledge. It was about adaptation and understanding. He remembered his years in mountain rescue, treating patients in extreme conditions where standard medical procedures often failed. The human body, and apparently, alien bodies too, had remarkable healing capabilities if given the right environment and support. June began experimenting. He brought mountain herbs he knew from his wilderness training, yarrow for controlling bleeding, pine resin for its natural, antiseptic properties, wild honey from his personal collection, known for its incredible healing capabilities. The medical staff watched in disbelief as he applied these unconventional treatments. The alien queen Asha seemed to respond. Her scales would shift colors when certain herbs were applied, a biological response that suggested communication beyond human comprehension. Where medical machines showed little progress, June's intuitive approach seemed to trigger subtle healing responses. He used techniques he'd learned from indigenous survival methods: gentle pressure point manipulation, careful temperature regulation, creating a healing environment that respected the aliens' complex biological needs. Each movement was calculated, each touch deliberate and respectful. Military researchers recorded everything. They couldn't understand how a simple wilderness ranger was achieving what their most advanced medical technology could not. June didn't care about their understanding. He cared about saving a life. During long nights, he would sit beside Asha's medical chamber. Sometimes he would talk, knowing she likely couldn't understand. "You're going to be okay," he would say, softly. "Whatever conflict brought you here, you're safe now." The facility's advanced sensors continued monitoring her condition. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, her body began to stabilize. Her breathing became more regular. The strange, silvery liquid that had been seeping from her wounds began to dry and heal. June noticed something extraordinary. When he used traditional Korean healing techniques, methods passed down through generations of his family, her body responded most positively. The gentle hand movements, the careful energy transfer, seemed to resonate with her alien physiology in ways modern medicine could not explain. High above the facility, hidden in the upper atmosphere, King Doran's damaged spacecraft continued, its silent watch. Sensors tracked every minute change in the Queen's condition. Confusion and a growing sense of something like respect began to replace his initial rage. The medical team started to recognize June's unique approach. What they saw as random wilderness techniques, he understood as generations of human survival knowledge. Every herb, every touch, every careful movement was a result of thousands of years of human adaptation and understanding. As days passed, Asha began showing signs of consciousness. Her large, multicolored eyes would occasionally flutter open, meeting June's steady gaze. There was no fear in those eyes, only a growing sense of connection. The research facility became a bridge between two completely different worlds, a place where human intuition and alien biology found an unexpected harmony. June Park, a simple wilderness ranger, had become something more, a potential key to understanding life beyond human comprehension. And through it all, he remained humble. To him, this was not about scientific discovery or potential galactic recognition. This was about doing what was right, about saving a life, regardless of its origin. The mountain facility stood silent, holding its extraordinary secret, an alien queen healing, a human rescuer watching, and the beginning of something that would change everything humans understood about their place in the universe. The mountain valley trembled with approaching danger. King Doran's fleet descended from the sky like a metallic thunderstorm, their ships reflecting impossible geometric shapes that defied human understanding. Each vessel carried weapons capable of obliterating entire landscapes in seconds. June Park knew he had only one advantage, the mountain itself. He had prepared for days. Using his wilderness survival skills, he transformed the landscape into a complex defensive network. Hidden tunnels, strategically placed mirrors to redirect alien scanning technologies, natural rock formations modified to create electromagnetic interference. The first wave of alien reconnaissance drones entered the valley, June watched from a hidden observation point, his breathing calm and controlled. Each movement was calculated. Each decision balanced between protecting Asha and surviving the incoming assault. Mountain streams became unexpected weapon systems. Carefully placed mineral deposits created natural electromagnetic disruption. Rock formations were subtly adjusted to create signal-blocking corridors. June used the terrain like a living, breathing defensive mechanism. When the first energy weapons fired, they found nothing but reflected signals and phantom heat signatures. The alien technology, designed for open planetary warfare, struggled against the complex mountain ecosystem. Each technological advantage was neutralized by June's intimate understanding of natural terrain. Asha watched from a protected medical shelter, her alien eyes tracking June's movements. She recognized something extraordinary, a primitive species member displaying tactical complexity beyond her civilization's understanding. This was not just survival. This was adaptation at its most fundamental level. King Doran's frustration grew with each failed attempt. His advanced scanners could not penetrate the mountain's defensive network. Quantum tracking systems became useless. Massive energy weapons found no clear targets. A single human was outmaneuvering an entire interstellar military force. June used smoke from controlled forest fires to create additional interference. He redirected water streams to cool down alien technological systems. Mountain winds became unexpected allies carrying electromagnetic disruption signals. Every natural element became a potential weapon. The alien fleet's technological superiority meant nothing against a defender who understood the landscape's living complexity. June moved like a ghost, always 3 steps ahead of incoming scanning systems. His movements were unpredictable, his strategies constantly shifting. Underground tunnels prepared in advance allowed quick relocation. Camouflage techniques learned from years of wilderness survival became advanced defensive strategies. Where alien technology expected straight lines and predictable movements, June provided chaos. King Doran watched in growing disbelief. His rescue mission transformed into an unexpected lesson about underestimating seemingly primitive species. Each failed attack revealed more about human adaptability than any previous galactic encounter. As hours passed, the mountain became a battlefield, unlike any in recorded galactic history. Technology versus terrain, advanced weaponry versus fundamental survival knowledge. A single human protecting an alien queen against an entire technological civilization. June's final defensive strategy involved something completely unexpected. He began using the alien technology against itself. Redirected energy signals, transformed, scanning frequencies, created complex electromagnetic interference patterns that confused the most advanced tracking systems. The mountain valley became a symbol of resistance, a place where human ingenuity demonstrated that technological superiority meant nothing against true adaptive intelligence. King Doran was forced to recognize a fundamental truth. Sometimes, the most dangerous opponent is not the one with the most advanced weapon, but the one who understands their environment completely. As sunset painted the mountain in golden light, June stood silent. Asha watched him with growing respect. The alien fleet hovered, defeated, but not destroyed. A new understanding was about to reshape everything both species thought they knew about survival, intelligence, and potential. The mountain remained silent, the only true witness to an extraordinary moment of human resistance. The mountain facility became ground zero for the most unexpected diplomatic encounter in human history. King Doran's massive spacecraft hung in the sky, no longer a threat, but a silent observer. June Park stood beside Asha, watching the alien communication systems activate. First contact was nothing like anyone had imagined. Doran's holographic projection appeared, a towering figure of intimidating presence, with scaled skin that shifted between metallic blues and deep purples. His initial approach was aggressive, demanding explanations for the resistance and protection of his queen. June remained calm. Years of wilderness survival had taught him that true strength was not about aggression, but understanding. Through a complex translation system, June explained his actions simply. She was injured. I helped her survive. No grand speeches, no complex diplomatic language, just a straightforward statement of human compassion. The alien king was confused. His civilization had encountered hundreds of species across multiple galaxies. None had ever responded to a potential threat with pure, unconditional assistance. Technological superiority had always meant absolute control. But here was a primitive species member who had challenged that entire concept. Asha began to translate the deeper nuances of June's actions. How he had used limited resources to save her life. How he had protected her without expecting anything in return. How his entire approach was based on a fundamental respect for living beings. King Doran's historical database struggled to process the information. Humans were categorized as a young, technologically limited species. Yet this single human had demonstrated adaptive intelligence that surpassed many advanced civilizations they had encountered. The mountain itself seemed to hold its breath. Military researchers watched in silent amazement. This was not just a diplomatic encounter. This was a fundamental reshaping of humanity's understood place in the universe. June showed Doran the medical techniques he had used. Traditional herbs, wilderness survival methods, simple human compassion, translated into life-saving action. Each demonstration challenged the alien king's understanding of primitive species. Communication evolved beyond words. Doran began to understand that technological advancement was not the only measure of intelligence. Adaptability, compassion, problem-solving. These were the true markers of a species' potential. Asha played a crucial role. She described how June had saved her life using nothing more than basic medical knowledge and an understanding of survival. How he had protected her against an technologically superior force using nothing more than terrain and creativity. The diplomatic encounter transformed into something unprecedented. What started as a potential conflict became a lesson in mutual understanding. Humans were not just another species to be categorized or controlled. They were a potential equal. King Doran's perception shattered. His entire civilization's approach to encountering new species would need fundamental recalibration. A primitive human had demonstrated capabilities that challenged centuries of galactic understanding. June remained humble throughout the encounter. He did not seek recognition or reward. His actions were simply what any responsible being would do: help someone in need, protect those who cannot protect themselves. As communication continued, something extraordinary happened. The alien spacecraft began revealing technological information, not as a gesture of superiority but as a sign of respect. The first true exchange between two civilizations. The mountain facility became more than a location. It became a symbol of potential, a place where a single human's actions could reshape galactic understanding, where compassion could be more powerful than technology, where survival was not about conquest but connection. King Doran made an unprecedented decision. Humanity would be classified not as a primitive species, but as a potential galactic partner. Their first contact would be remembered not through military might, but through one human's unexpected compassion. June Park, a simple wilderness ranger, had changed everything. The universe would never be the same. The mountain stood silent, the only witness to a moment that would be remembered for generations to come.